Have you ever wondered why some people walk into a room and instantly command respect without saying a single word? Think about it. Before they even speak, something about their presence makes you sit up straighter, pay closer attention, and maybe even feel a little intimidated. That's not luck, that's confidence. But here's the twist. Most of us think of confidence as just one thing, when in reality, it comes in two powerful flavors. External confidence, the way you project yourself to the world, and internal confidence, the way you feel about yourself when no one is watching. And if you've ever watched Don Draper from Mad Men, you've already seen a masterclass in both. He isn't just a character, he's practically a blueprint for how to exude authority, charm, and charisma, even in the most high-stakes situations. But what exactly makes him so magnetic? Let's break it down. At the surface, Don looks sharp. Tailored suits, impeccable grooming, the perfect glass of whiskey in hand. But style alone doesn't hold attention for long. What truly sets him apart is his body language. He sits asymmetrically, relaxed but expansive, which sends a primal signal of comfort and dominance. Studies in social psychology show that open postures, like spreading out or standing tall, activate hormonal changes that increase testosterone while lowering cortisol, the stress hormone. In simple terms, just by changing how you sit or stand, you can actually feel and appear more confident. And Don embodies this perfectly. He doesn't fidget, doesn't rush, and doesn't shrink himself to take up less space. Instead, he owns every inch of the room he's in, almost like James Bond sliding casually into a casino. Even subtle moves like leaning back in his chair during tense negotiations flip the script. Suddenly, the client feels like they need to win his attention, not the other way around. This is psychology, yet play. Scarcity makes things more valuable, and when you don't seem desperate for approval, people want it from you even more. Another powerful weapon in Don's arsenal is his eye contact. Early in conversations, he's aloof, almost disinterested, offering little glances that make the other person lean in, hungry for acknowledgement. Then at the exact right moment, he delivers piercing, unblinking eye contact that cuts through the noise and makes his words unforgettable. Research on persuasion shows that maintaining strong eye contact when delivering key points boosts credibility and memorability, which is why world leaders and speakers train for this skill. Think Steve Jobs pausing mid-pitch, locking eyes with his audience, and then dropping a line that leaves the room in silence. That's exactly the effect Don Draper achieves. And here's the kicker. You don't need to be rich, famous, or even particularly handsome to use these techniques. Anyone can practice expansive body language, purposeful movement, and variable eye contact. These are simple, research-backed behaviors that rewire how people perceive you and how you feel about yourself. Imagine walking into your next meeting, date, or interview, and having people lean forward without you saying a word. That's external confidence at work. But here's the big question. Is projecting confidence enough, or is there a deeper level we need to master to be truly unshakable? The answer takes us to the second, often overlooked layer of Don's magnetism: the power of internal confidence, the ability to remain calm, non-reactive and steady when everything around you is chaos. And once you understand that, your confidence will no longer depend on appearances. It will be something no one can take away. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because external confidence, while powerful, is only the tip of the iceberg. Think about it. What happens when you're thrown into chaos? When the deal falls apart? When the date goes awkwardly wrong? Or when the pressure in the room skyrockets? This is where most people break. They fidget, they over-explain, they get defensive, or they completely lose composure. But Don Draper shows us something that's much harder to fake: internal confidence, or what psychologists often call non-reactivity. And here's the hook. Non-reactivity isn't about pretending not to feel. It's about mastering the art of staying grounded, even when the storm is raging around you. Watch Don in Rome when two men flirt with his wife. Instead of puffing his chest or lashing out, He calmly role-plays as if he doesn't even know her. That cool detachment flips the power dynamic instantly. The insecure men explode, but Don remains composed, and suddenly, he looks like the only one in control. This isn't just television magic. Research in behavioral psychology shows that people who respond slowly and calmly in high-stress situations are consistently rated as more competent leaders. Why? Because calm is contagious. In moments of crisis, when you don't mirror panic, you become the anchor others look to. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor of Rome, wrote that, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but your estimate of it." Don embodies this lesson. He doesn't let external chaos dictate his inner state, and science backs it up. Studies on emotional regulation show that people who practice pausing before reacting, something as simple as taking a breath before responding, make better decisions, command more respect, and experience lower stress. Think about Steve Jobs during product launches. He was never rushed. In fact, when things went wrong, he would often pause for long stretches, giving himself time to regain control. This wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate tactic to show mastery of the moment. The same applies in daily life, whether you're giving a speech, facing criticism, or even having an argument with a partner. Silence is a weapon. It buys you time, it projects calm, and it signals that you are not controlled by external chaos. But here's the cliffhanger. Internal confidence goes deeper than silence. It's not just about staying calm when things go wrong. It's about redefining your relationship with failure itself. Don doesn't just pause when a client trashes his pitch. He embraces the silence, lets the discomfort hang in the air, and then reframes the conversation. And the research is clear. People typically give themselves only 30% as much time to respond as they'd allow someone else, which is why we rush, stumble, and regret our words. But what if you gave yourself the same patience you'd give your best friend? What if you paused long enough to choose power instead of panic? That's the heart of internal confidence. It's not the absence of fear, it's the decision not to let fear drive the wheel. And the deeper you master this, the more unshakable you become. But if silence and composure are the first steps, what lies at the very core? What is the deepest layer of confidence that transforms not just how you look or how you react, but who you actually are? That answer comes from Don Draper's final transformation, when his carefully built facade collapses. And paradoxically, that's when he becomes most powerful. And here's the final piece of the puzzle, and maybe the hardest lesson to accept, because it flips everything we think about confidence on its head. External presence draws people in. Internal calm keeps them there. But the deepest and most lasting form of confidence is authenticity. And here's the hook. The moment you stop trying to impress others is the moment they're actually impressed by you. Think about Don Draper at his lowest point, when his carefully crafted mask of perfection crumbles. He's exposed as Dick Whitman, a man running from his past. You'd expect this to destroy him, but strangely, it does the opposite. Why? Because people may admire Polish, but they connect with truth. Modern psychology confirms this. Studies on vulnerability by researcher Brené Brown show that people who openly admit flaws are rated as more trustworthy, relatable, and even more attractive. Why? Because vulnerability signals strength, not weakness. It tells the world, I am real, and I don't need to hide. And that's something no facade can compete with. Look around today. Leaders, influencers, entrepreneurs. The ones who endure aren't the ones who look flawless, but the ones who share their struggles openly. Elon Musk admits failures in front of millions. Dwayne Johnson openly talks about depression. And yet, they're admired more, not less. That's the paradox. Perfection distances you, but authenticity draws people in. Here's another mid-script hook. What if the very thing you're most afraid of people discovering is actually the key to your power? Don Draper's most human moments, the breakdowns, the apologies, the rare glimpses of honesty, those are when audiences feel closest to him. And science agrees. Mirror neuron research shows that when we see someone being authentic, our brains literally sync with theirs. We feel their truth. That's why authenticity isn't just moral, it's magnetic. But here's the cliffhanger. You can't fake authenticity. You can't rehearse vulnerability. True confidence isn't wearing a mask of strength, it's removing the mask completely. And the irony. That's exactly when people trust you most. So here's the big takeaway. If you want to embody the confidence of Don Draper, or of any great leader, you need all three layers. First, build your external presence. Your posture, your tone, your silence. Second, master your internal calm, your non-reactivity, your composure under fire. But third, and most importantly, step into authenticity. Own your flaws, admit your mistakes, share your humanity. Because the ultimate form of power isn't being untouchable, it's being undeniable. And now let me leave you with this final hook. The next time you walk into a room, remember this. People aren't looking for someone who never cracks. They're looking for someone real enough to trust. If Don Draper, with all his demons, could command a room through presence, calm, and raw humanity, then so can you. The question is, will you keep hiding behind the mask, or will you finally step into the kind of confidence that can't be shaken? If this breakdown gave you value, don't just scroll away. Hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe, because the next video will go even deeper into the hidden psychology of influence. And trust me, you don't want to miss it.